Hi everyone, I am the Spiritual Seeker. I am an independent researcher, numerologist, and member of Black Space Azania. Black Space is a Black consciousness formation. You can follow us on Twitter or like our Facebook page for more information and updates. In this episode, we look into one of the interviews Steve Biko did before his final detention and murder in police custody. The interview is chapter 18 in the book we're currently reading, I Write What I Like. While there is no mention of the actual date of the interview and the name of the interviewer, upon research I found that the interview took place in July 1977, just before Biko's final detention in August 1977 and his death in September 1977. The name of the interviewer is Bennett Zylstra, and the interview was done for the Reformed Journal. Biko starts off by describing the political climate of the time, how the banning of the PAC and the ANC and the arrest of their leaders between 1963 and 1964 resulted into a political vacuum in the country. As a result, the only audible political voice in the country was that of the white liberals in organizations such as NUSAS, the Liberal Party, and the Progressive Party. This also led to Black people, especially Black students, to join these organizations so that their oppositional views can also be heard. But this soon resulted into the whitening of the anti-apartheid struggle, with whites being on the offensive and white liberals dictating how Blacks should respond to the settler colonial violence of the system of apartheid. That is what then led to the formation of SASO, the South African Students' Organization, towards the end of the 1960s in 1968. Here is Biko in his own words.
Changes which are to come can only come as a result of a program worked out by Black people. And for Black people to be able to work out a program, they need to defeat the one main element in politics which was working against them, and this was a psychological feeling of inferiority.
As mentioned in the previous episodes, the Black consciousness movement aimed to bring back to national discourse the self-determination of Africans in a climate dominated by political opinions about rights and citizenship, reducing the settler colonial system of apartheid to an issue of policy. One of the most influential members of SASO was Onkgopozi Abraham Tiro, the one on the screen, whose graduation speech in 1973 at the University of the North, now called University of Limpopo, criticized the education system of Bantu education, the use of Afrikaans as a medium of instruction, and the anti-blackness that underlied that settler colonial system of apartheid. One of the highlights was when he said, quote, "We as the Black graduates, by virtue of our age and academic standing, are being called upon to bear greater responsibilities. Our so-called leaders have become the bolts of the same machine which is crushing us as a nation. We have to go back. Times are changing and we should change with them." The members of the Black consciousness movement who went back to their communities helped in the formation of, for example, SASO, the South African Student Movement. Amongst the members of SASO were Khoso Siahlolo Tsitsi Mashinini, Sibongile Makhabela, Dikeledi Motswene, Priscilla Msisinyane, Naledi Kidi Mutswa, and others. And all of these were amongst the students who were directly involved in the June 16 uprisings of 1976. For more information on the young girls and the members of the Black consciousness movement who were directly involved in the uprisings, please look for the article on the screen written by Thando Sipuye in 2017. Let me end this episode once again with the words of Steve Biko.
Society. First of all, we said as Black students, we could not participate in multiracial organizations, which were by far white organizations, because in this country there is an overwhelming number of white students at university. And secondly, these organizations were concentrating mainly on problems which were affecting the white student community, which meant that NUSAS, as an organization, gave political opinions which were largely affected by the whiteness of that particular organization.